All right, when we talked last week, you were coming off the win over South Florida.
Yeah.
It was a challenging road trip ahead, but it offered promise. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we played two really good teams, two top 25 ranked teams, and that's obviously going to be difficult. So that makes it hard. But we just didn't play well at the end of the day. Like, we have struggled the last couple of weeks. I mean, the last 15 games going 5-10, the last 10 going 1-9. Like, it's just been, I just think struggle and just the lack of consistency and the ability to play well every single day, all facets. And it seems like there's always one or two facets that are just struggling a certain day, and the next day it's another facet. And I think some of it's just a frustration and pressing a little bit to try to get out of it and really play well. And we just need to get back to being us and relax. And but when you go play two tough teams on the road, like that's what happens when you don't play well. And we just got to be better.
You talk about not playing well. Your defense has again been a challenge for you. What do you do at this point in the season to turn something like that around? I mean, it's a couple errors every game, and it really undoes things for your pitchers.
Yeah, most definitely. And we just got to be better. We got to get back to practicing. It's good we'll get probably 2 practice days in this week instead of or 3 practice days in this week instead of 1. And we just got to get back to the basics. It's tough sometimes. Some of the errors are by some younger players, and that's just, inexperience and sometimes offense carrying over or just being, again, trying to do too much if they're not, sometimes kids get distracted if they're not hitting. That's what they're thinking about when they're out there on defense. Sometimes if they just know they're not hitting, they want to try to make up for it by playing great defense, and that is not the recipe for success. So we just got to be mentally tougher and be able to make plays and not let the game speed up on us. And but again, I think we need to not press, relax, take some deep breaths, just get back to being us. But that's not just from a daily basis, but from a pitch-to-pitch basis, just being able to breathe and slow the game down as much as we can and get better.
Rough outing for Rudy
in
the first game of the series. What did you see from him, and why'd you keep him out so long?
Yeah. Some of it had to do with the obviously playing a doubleheader, playing on Tuesday. It just wasn't a great situation, I don't think, for anybody, just from trying to bounce back and guys on less rest and knowing that Jacob was coming on 2 days less rest because we had to move him up 2 days with the doubleheader and the weather and all that kind of stuff. So from all that standpoint, and again, Rudy has earned the right to go out there and continue to pitch, it's always in that situation this weekend. It was like you're one pitch away from getting out of the inning, and you give up a couple hits and then get out of it, and then you throw a 0 on the board, and then you come back out and a couple runs score. You're one pitch away from making it manageable. And they get a big hit and score a couple more, but then get out of it the next pitch. And so it was just kind of like you never pitch count wise was up there. You're trying to maybe save some arms a little bit just to make sure that we have enough to get through the weekend. But at the same time, felt like, Rudy wasn't pitching terrible. It was just, there was errors or plays that should be made, or again, just them doing a great job of hitting, just putting pressure on them early in counts and being able to, they were super aggressive. And, so it wasn't like he was getting taxed. It's just this, they were just able to put a couple runs together here and there, and you never felt like he was pitching that bad. It just was they were doing a great job of being able to execute when they had runners on, and that's one of their strengths is putting up big numbers in innings, and we just weren't able to stop.
You mentioned Rudy's struggles, but the bullpen as a whole. I mean, you're turning some games over to these guys, and it gets out of control real fast.
Yeah, and we got to be better with coming in with and being able to do a better job with inherited runners. Our inherited runners percentage is really bad in terms of bringing guys in with runners on and them letting them score too. And then they'll go out and throw 3 great innings after that. But when they come in, they just put too much pressure on themselves, not trying to execute pitches, just worrying about, okay, I'm in a big situation here, I've got to do this, instead of just ignoring the situation and just worried about winning this pitch right here. And then even when you're not coming into relief into a situation like that, when you're pitching, it's all about managing. And how do you manage the inning? And things are going to happen, whether it's an error, bad call, a hit that you make a great pitch and the guy just finds a hole somewhere. Like that's part of the game. And how do you manage those innings when you get in those situations? You get bases loaded, no outs. Okay, you can either oh my gosh, this is going to be so difficult. I've got to not do this. I've got to not do that. I got to try to figure out a way to not. This could be 4 runs and. No, you just need to worry about executing the pitch. And when you do that, you walk out of there with bases loaded, no outs, and you give it 1 run. And that's a great job. I mean, to be able to get out of an inning with 1 run with the bases loaded and nobody out, like, that's how you do that, though, is by being able to be mentally tough, to be able to be present and worry about executing the pitch. Can't worry about the things that have happened, how the guys got on base. Like, that's all out of your control. It's all in the past. And so how do you be present and do that? We just got to be better at the bullpen because, again, we've shown glimpses of, I mean, we go 13 innings on Sunday and the bullpen was tremendous and we did a great job. But it's the consistency that we got to be better at and making sure that we can show up every single day and do, whether it's offense, defense, or pitching, like to be able to be the team that we feel like we can be every single day.
You and Coach Marath do that impacts that consistency from your pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously got to talk a lot about the mental game. In meetings and scouting reports, just talking about how to handle these situations, how to breathe, how to worry about being present. These are all things that we've talked about all year and taught, and we just have to continue to stress them and utilize mound visits or in between innings to get guys to be able to slow down. Get some of the older guys that are experienced, that have a lot of success, to be able to continue to be in the younger guys' ears and inexperienced guys' ears, to just be able to teach them how to handle these moments. And but at the end of the day, you got to go out and do your job and perform. And if you want to be great, you got to be able to take the things that we teach and listen, and then be able to implement them and execute them when the lights come on. And that's the hardest part about this game, is about anything in life, like anything you can do behind closed doors or when the pressure's not on, and how do you able to take those things and then be able to execute them when it really matters the most.
You said we might see Andrew Sundin back behind the plate. Saw him Tuesday. Any sort of setback that we didn't see him? Because that ended up being a lot of Ben McCabe for over 3 days.
Yeah.
Over 3 games and a little more than 24 hours.
Yeah, and it was tough. But obviously getting Ben to get off out of behind home plate on Tuesday was a big help. But you just felt like, from a defensive standpoint, Ben gave us the best shot to win the game. Andrew not having a lot of reps. I just felt like, in those situations, especially when, you give Ben Sunday off or Tuesday off, which is great, then be able to play a catch a doubleheader, no problem. Obviously, if the situation is different, maybe he doesn't catch the game 3. But when you feel like it's a must-win game, or you really want to try to salvage a game, like you want to put your best guys out there. So knowing also that he was going to get several days off afterwards and whatnot. So Sundin will catch tomorrow in midweek game and give Ben another day of not having to get behind there. And then we just I'm trying to win as many games as we possibly can, and also not trying to mess up the rest of the season in terms of Ben getting too tired. But at the same time, like, we know how important every game is, and feel like when we really need to win, we need to put our best defense out there.
You were ejected during Friday's game. As you've looked back on it, do you see the play any differently now than you did when you were out there?
No.
Take us through that.
It's just a pop fly right in front of home plate, and base runner didn't see Ben coming. Ben calls the ball, and the guy bumps into Ben and knocks him off track, and now Ben can't catch it. Ben calls it, so the pitcher obviously kind of slows up because he thinks that Ben's going to catch it because he called it. I just thought it was a classic interference of Ben should have made the play. It was an easy play, but because of the contact with the base runner, that wasn't called. And
how was that explained to you?
And so you can only protect one guy. So they decided and again, I don't know if they didn't hear Ben call it or whatnot, but they just felt like that the pitcher had an easier play at making that catch, and they can only protect one. They can't protect both guys. So because of that, they felt like the pitcher was the best guy to protect, and so he should have caught the ball. But again, like, I don't know if they just didn't hear Ben call it or whatnot. But because Ben called it, that stops the pitcher from having to catch it. So, unfortunate, especially there in the 13th inning, and that ends up being the winning run that scores. Moves them up to second base, and that guy scores on the double. So, unfortunate, but part of the game. We always talk about worry about the things you can't control, and those are things we can't. Frustrating, but part of it.
How do you assess John Rice Plumlee's week? Of all his travels back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I've said it 1,000 times just how impressed I am just with his ability to. It's not playing both or doing both. It's really the the most difficult part. It's just the energy and the attitude and the desire to want to do it. I think a lot of people would be like, man, can I take a day off here? Can I take a day off there? Can I not do this? Can I not do that? Like I'm low on energy, or come to practice and just go through the motions because, man, like I've had a rough day, or just in terms of from the body standpoint. And you would never know. He's the same guy every single day. He's the same guy after a long football practice. He's the same guy after having to take a car ride and a plane ride, whatever the case is. Like, he just brings energy, and he wants to do everything that he possibly can to help every team that he's on be successful, and to do it at a somewhat high level is really remarkable. But I mean, you just got to give him props just for the energy that he brings every single day to the game, to practice. He never shuts it off. It's never fake. And he never gets tired, and that's really remarkable.
The weather may play a factor. It's still early in the week, but what's the plan for his use on Friday, assuming the baseball game is moved up now and football's moved back? How do you plan to work with that?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it that much. I know he's going to start the game, and we'll figure kind of how the game goes, and a lot of it will be left up to him and Gus and what they want to do. And I assume at the end of the day it'll probably come down to what John Rice wants to do. And I know he wants to do both, and he will do both at somehow, some way. And obviously, weather's the only thing, I think, the biggest detractor of all of that, and trying to figure out what happens if there's bad weather and things have to be moved. But that's one of those things that we'll just have to deal with when we get there.
At this point in the season, we talked about it in pitching. What can you do to improve on the hitting? I mean, it started strong, and then things have tapered off the last 12, 15
and part
games.
of that game comes with the competition, right? Like, you're playing against two really great teams the last 9 games, especially, or 8 games, whatever. Like, we're playing against some really, really good teams, and again, I think that some of it too is on us in terms of pressing a little bit and just knowing. We talk about this all the time. Like, the vision that you have for your life, the vision you have for anything that you're partaking in, doesn't always go the way that you think it's going to go. It rarely ever goes the way you think it's going to go. You think you're going to come in and be a freshman All-American, and I'm going to get drafted, and you get hurt. Like, you think you're going to get this job, and it's going to turn into something else, and it doesn't. Like, it just doesn't. The path isn't what you thought it was going to be. And at the end of the day, you got to be able to handle that. You got to be able to take a step back. You got to be able to understand and be okay with that. And then you got to be able to just go out and show up the next day, and not take things with you, not try to do more because you didn't do something yesterday. And we just got to continue to harp on that. We know that this hasn't gone the way that we all expected. We know that with this group of guys that this isn't what the expectations were, or from internally, from their point of view, from my point of view. But at the same time, like, I don't believe less in this group, not by 1 ounce, than I did 2 months ago. And I still believe that we have an opportunity. We still have games in front of us. I still believe we have the talent and the experience. Some of these younger guys are getting more experience. And we just got to go out and play, enjoy ourselves, being around each other, have fun. Again, this game is played at the highest level. By from your point of view, is when you just go out there and enjoy it and play free and easy. And not worry about the past, not worry about what could happen, not worry about what has happened, like whether it was 1 inning ago, 1 day ago, 1 week ago. And being able to be present is a big part of it. And so, again, my belief hasn't wavered at all. Again, the results aren't exactly what I wanted or what I believed that we could do. But we're still 50% of the way through the season. And so how do we turn it around? We just show up today at practice and do a great job. We show up at Stetson and just worry about trying to win pitches and do our best. And I know that when we do those things, we've shown the type of team that we can be, and we can just put it all together. And again, we just haven't clicked on all cylinders very much. And even the games when we were winning early, like, we were just hitting a lot more and not pitching. And we've gone back and forth, and the defense has played well some days and not well some days. And we've pitched well on one day and then not pitched well the next. And so it's just about the consistency and clicking on all cylinders. When we do that, we're going to be tough. And I believe in this group, again, no different than I did 2 months ago.
This stretch comes amidst a former player of yours circulating some statements about altering bats. How have you responded to that?
Yeah, I mean, we just, again, there's some things that you can control and some things that you can't control. And so, we just handled everything internally and things that we feel like we need to do better at. And some things that, you just have no control over what other people say, whether they be true or not true. And the things that you feel like you need to address internally, then we address them and make sure that those things don't happen, and the things that we don't need to address, then we don't obviously address them. And so, unfortunate, but just part of it, part of the process. So just handle our things and then go on and try to handle the next day the best we can.
Have you conducted an internal investigation of this?
We've handled everything we needed to handle internally and done everything that we can to make sure that we know what is going on in our inside, and make sure that whatever that needs to not happen again doesn't happen again, and things that are not things that we need to worry about, then we've moved on.
So there's some validity to the allegations?
I don't know exactly everything that is out there, so I don't know if I feel comfortable answering it, because I'm not 100% sure exactly. But
altering
I know the
bats
things that we've handling, there's a lot of layers into that, so I just don't really want to get into all of it. But there's a lot of layers that go into that, of bat protocols, all that kind of stuff that we just need to make sure that we stay with what is supposed to happen and follow the rules and do what we can to be the best team that we can.
Have you had to make any disciplinary action with any current players?
Yeah, I have, definitely. And we've handled it, and we've moved on.
Do you think it's impacting this stretch?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. We just got to do a better job of handling our business in terms of showing up and being consistent and not allowing, the losing or lack of whatever we're doing that day, like in terms of lack of defense, lack of pitching, or lack of hitting, affect the next day, and not try to make up for it or be better than we were. Be better because we have to make up for, we got to hit more and make up for yesterday. Like, just be us. Like, don't try to do anything different, and just be more consistent. And again, we've got to adjust better. Like, I think one of our big things offensively is that other teams are watching video, and they're trying to attack our weaknesses. And we can't be stubborn to not want to adjust back. I mean, that's what this game is all about, is you break down video, you find weaknesses in other teams, whether it's on the mound, or can we do something offensively, like whether it's bunt and take advantage of a poor defense, or hit and run more, or whatever the case is. You're always trying to do that. Well, other teams are trying to do that too, and we've got to make sure that we don't get too stubborn in, well, I don't want to hit that pitch, or I don't want to, take that pitch because I want to do what I want to. I want to do what I feel like I'm going to be, that makes me successful. Well, the other team is seeing that and knows that, and they're going to try to exploit that. Then you're just going to keep making the same mistakes and doing the same things every time that are going to affect you and not allow you to be the success that you've been. And I think that's been our biggest issue, is just not being able to adjust back to the video being watched and guys making adjustments on how they're pitching us. Now we got to adjust and make sure that what they're doing now we can
handicap the week ahead. Nearby road trip, Stetson, midweek, and then you welcome in Memphis. What's the week ahead look like?
I mean, all great challenges and great opportunities. And again, just the things that we've been working on and the things we got to get better at and the things that we're harping on. It's another chance. A great day of practice today to work on some things that we feel like we need to be better at, and then opportunity against Stetson to put them into play and really get back to the team that we believe that we can be, that we've shown. And again, we've shown in glimpses about how great we can be from all three facets, and we just got to be more consistent. Hopefully the last couple days off, putting our bodies in the best position, especially for some of the younger guys that have never gone through this. This is usually kind of the lull of the, man, like my body's starting to really struggle in the grind of college baseball, you know what I mean? And so guys that haven't been able to do that, don't have any experience in that, they're really understanding, and hopefully some of those rest days will be good. But then we got to get back out and continue to play the game. Again, there's a lot of games left, a lot of baseball left. Again, it's a great opportunity for us to go out and really work getting more consistent and being that team that we know that we all can be. And again, my confidence in this group hasn't wavered. Again, not the results that we wanted, but we just got to get back to our process and continue to work and get back to that team that we know we can be.
Planning the same 3 starters for the weekend?
Yes, yeah, that is the plan.
But weather again could play a factor. It's early in the week, but
it's crazy. But hopefully, everyone getting a day's rest, pitching wise, will be good for us and get us back to kind of, where we feel like we need to be from a strength and a mentality and just a body in recovery kind of mode and ground level and the good base. And it was tough this week with the less rest and the travel. It was a tough travel week. And then obviously playing in a tough environments and tough weather with the change in the weather and whatnot. So it was a lot this week. So hopefully the last couple of days and today and getting back on track for Tuesday will be a good start.